like overlay things or no?
Oh, you don't have to.
Oh, okay.
If you do wanna click it in, it wouldn't hurt. I can click it and see what you put in there. Your AC.
I was trying to mess with it, but I don't think you can.
All right. Yeah. So, welcome everybody to RP Geography. I actually got started like a minute and 30 seconds ago because I'm a doof and I forgot to put the broadcast on. But our party is flying in one of the Gloam standard dirigibles, and we'll jump back into it where we were. So yeah, so as you guys look down, or anyone who's on the deck, I should say, looks around, looks down, you see the bright sunlight. There aren't too many buildings around here right at the edge towards the wall, but you do see the massive wall itself. Um, Sort of a yellow, like gold, but not quite gold, like a fool's gold, a brighter colors, a little bit cheaper looking. Um, but one thing it didn't skimp on is height and breadth. It circles the entire Confederation, and it stands over 100 feet tall and over 30 feet wide. It's the only thing that protects these soft Confederate people from the wilds of the Gloam. You're all not from here. You're from an edge town called Mulberry, and you're going back there after receiving your auxiliary training. It's the least the Dawnhammers could do after informing your fellow townsfolk that they were pulling themselves back and only defending the wall and what's inside it. But that's why they've given you the lessons given you, and it's up to you to make sure that your town survives as it has outside the wall for over 100 years. So I'm going to go down the line on my screen. And so we're going to start with Jason. Jason, you could just describe yourself, your character, where he is on the airship, and anything else you'd like.
Name is Christopher Jackson. He's a ranger. Loves ranged weapons. Carries 3 pistols and a rifle, and a couple of short swords and some daggers. He's wearing some leather armor. Dark in nature. He wears greens and browns mostly. He has shoulder-length black hair, almost really dark brown, almost to the point where they're black. He's still pretty young, in his late 20s, and he would probably be out looking at the surroundings.
Awesome. And Mac. Oh, and also, if everyone can just put their characters' names in the chat, that'd be awesome.
Cool. I'm Mac. I'll be playing Silas Hayfield. He is he's about 36, 6'1", pretty burly. He's rocking his military jacket. He's got a mustache and a little bit of sideburn action. Shorter, slick back hair. Kind of almost like a permanent scowl on his brow, sort of thing. And he's probably just relaxing, watching his fellow peer over the pier, and he's probably just hanging out, having a smoke on some crates or something on the main deck. So
nice. And Jordan.
Yeah, guys, I'm Jordan. I'm playing Ivor Marsk. He's a ranger as well. He's only about 5'11", 195 pounds. He's not a big burly dude. He's decked out in some patchy studded leather. He's got a long sword strapped to his belt. He's got a spear on his back, and he would be sitting on the edge of the dirigible, one leg over the side, one leg on the ship, just leaning back and cleaning this nice little musket he's got with this makeshift scope that he's attached to it. He'd just be looking down at Mulberry as they come in, thinking to himself, I never thought I'd come back here. And he'd be looking down and making sure that his wolf that's laying down at his feet is is comfortable and resting up this brown-haired, a little bit larger than normal wolf.
And Arliss, your wolf, is perhaps a bit queasy. Hasn't been seeming himself, but as you pet him, his ears perk up, and you hear the heavy footfalls coming out from below the deck and walking across its surface. You recognize them as whenever you travel, or for that matter, whenever you were in the barracks at the Dawnhammer training facility. You would hear these boots accompanied by the nasally voice of Cornelius Herkin. And you'd hear him again, perhaps for the last time. Get up, you lazy auxiliary scum. Come on, get to your feet. Mostly looking at you, Ivor.
I would just kind of scowl at him and just kind of smile, and Arliss would just growl at him. Arliss has never liked him, has always growled and snarled and snapped at him when he's come in. Whenever he hears those boot steps, it's like poison. And I would get off, just swing my leg over and stand up and be like, let's get this over with.
And he'd put his hands up and, Silas, Christopher, come.
Hey, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Listen, we've done the best we can with you. I don't know if it's good enough. I doubt it, really. Living on the edge, you didn't know much coming in, you don't know much going out. But this is probably Mulberry's only chance. You three. That's heartening, to say the least. Anyway, when we drop you off, it's just before the Samhain festival, so I expect you'll be running into a lot of villagers right away. Usually I would tell you to report directly to the fort, as you know, just a little ways outside the village. That's where we'll expect you to stay. No comfy beds, of course, for you. You have a job to do. But on this occasion, we'll allow you to enter the town. You should actually introduce yourself to the locals. Again, of course, you know them, but they should meet you again as the auxiliary. They'll have to treat you with a new kind of respect. You understand. You are the word of Dawnhammers this far out. Anyway, after the events of the festival, I expect you to return to the fort and get busy to what you do. Hunt monsters. Anyway, you know the way down. We'll be pulling in the next 15, so you might want to get your stuff and get ready. And he would go to turn away, but look back in case anybody had any last words for him.
What exactly is our task? You mentioned that.
To him?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think you said something. I just forgot exactly what it was, word for word.
Yeah, he turns back. He just says, well, keeping the town as free of monsters and corruption as possible, of course. Although how 3 measly auxiliary are supposed to do that is beyond me.
All right.
This town was full of monsters before the Gloam ever showed up.
And it's about to get 3 more, I see. And then with a huff, he kind of carries on, and you see him walk back towards the... it's like a pilot quarters, so to speak. There's nothing more than a wheel and a few instruments on a piece of equipment like this. But you see him gesturing, and you can kind of feel the slight decrease in altitude as the dirigible kind of starts to lower itself down at just a very slight angle. The village is still, you can see it now, but it's pretty good ways off, and you know that dirigibles lower themselves quite slowly. And if there's anything you guys would like to do, you would have obviously some things I would imagine that you're not carrying on you that still belong to you. You can tell us about that or not, but the main thing is, you know, that you exit a dirigible from the bottom. It'll be like a big porthole kind of thing with a ladder that you roll out and climb down. So at some point you'll know from your training that you'll have to make your way down there.
Yeah, I'll go back to my room or whatever we were staying in. and grab my backpack and my extra stuff that I need. Oh, and I also have a pet mouse.
Can't forget that.
Yeah, I grab him, put him in my pocket.
That's awesome.
And I'll head down there to wait.
Yeah, I would do the same. Kind of coaxing Arlius because he's never liked this part of the journey, the descents and stuff. Maybe makes him a little queasier than the flight.
Yeah, and Arliss actually, because it was a big deal bringing him out there in the first place. And if it wasn't for the unusual circumstances, there's no way a Dawnhammer trainee would be able to bring a pet like that in. But that they had to tie a harness to it and lower it down, actually, because there's no other way for it to walk up and down this kind of rope ladder. And he remembers.
I'll look over at him and say, it's much easier having one that fits in your pocket, you know?
It's a lot more fun having one that can eat the one that fits in your pocket.
He hasn't been able to do it yet.
Just give it time. We're in his territory now, and he looks over to Arlius. This is where I found him as a pup.
You see nothing but nerves in your pet there right now. And so Silas, do you have any odd trinkets?
Probably just kind of goes and grabs the stuff he does in his room, kind of just packing up and just kind of palms this necklace with just a very simple emblem on it, and just kind of rolls it around in his hand for a few moments, and then he puts it in his bag and then just hucks it on his back and gets ready to head out.
Nice.
Make sure his straps are all tight and stuff, and yeah.
Okay. So the first thing I'm going to have you guys do is you guys can basically just each roll me a Constitution check. And Ivor, I'll need to make a strength check for me as well. And the DC on this is going to be an 11 for the Constitution checks, and it's going to be a 14 for the strength. Oh, okay, you already put yours in. Okay.
So we need to make Constitution checks and strength checks?
No, just Constitution checks for you two. The strength check was just for Ivor.
I got a 15.
Excellent. Okay. So first thing is Ivor, you're going to strap up Arliss and successfully lower him down. You must have a wiry strength to you, and you're able to lower your canine sort of companion here, wolf companion, down without too much trouble. And then you climb on the ladder and make your way down with Silas coming up right behind you and Christopher behind him. Your training prepared you. You're not too winded by the time you get down. And when you do land, you see the dirigible, which the last person down, Christopher, gives the rope a pull, which will ring a bell in the pilot's compartment. And the dirigible immediately starts to rise slowly as it kind of turns in a slow bank. And the three of you are on the ground in a cornfield, or what's left of the cornfield. It is harvest season, and most of it is down. You are standing next to what you would all know, having come from this town, used to be one of the silos. However, it is in shambles on the ground. You guys would, being from this village again, you know this area pretty well. You got a main road here coming along the edge of one of the walls, one of the 3 walls of the fort. Fort, village, out here in the wilds, there's rarely a difference. And this is a 3-sided fort with a river along its long side. And you are along one of the side walls, and the other side wall borders the woods. So, what would you like to do?
There's a silo, you said?
Yeah, it would have been like a fairly small to compared to today's standards. Like a small grain silo. Probably was at one point like 30 feet tall or so, but it's in pieces of wood.
Okay, well.
Was this intact when we left?
Yeah, it would have been.
I immediately start looking around, see what I can find, what I can see on the ground, what could have done it, how long ago it was.
Yeah, roll me a. I would go with either survival or investigation. I would accept either.
Got a crit.
Okay, so in looking around, first of all, there's a couple things that you'd be able to piece together right away. This thing fell before the harvest was taken down. So people here know the silo is down. It's been down for a few days, at least, if not a week or 2. You see some scuffly, like some boot marks, some random prints, but actually with a check like that, you're even able to notice a small, very small, one individual boot print. And you recognize it from your training as being dwarven size, which are vermin.
I look at the other 2, spit on the ground and say dwarves.
Dwarves. I wish we could get rid of all of them.
What made you think of that? What'd you see over there?
I point to the tracks.
Oh. Didn't think they were coming this close to the town. That's strange.
Which way do they lead? Away from the town or in farther?
They lead away from the town into the cornfield, which was probably actually full of corn at the time.
So we should keep
fresh are
moving.
they?
You said a couple days, right?
You would say at least a couple days, maybe a week or a little more.
They're pretty old. At least a week.
Yes, that's what I would say too.
Well, you know better than me. Should we get moving?
Maybe we should make our way to the fort. They might know more about it.
Sure.
Okay, so it is the middle of the day here. You easily make your way to the road and start along kind of dusty path. And as you approach what is known as the West Gate, the main gate, you enter in, and it's a familiar scene to all of you. You're kind of struck with it, almost how quickly you're right back in the middle of town after being away for what felt like so long. And you see people that would definitely remember. You see, oh, there goes Emily. She's gotten older. She was a little one when you left. Still little, but shot up in height. And Jedediah walks by. He's carrying a bunch of wood. And you just basically see all the people that you've grown up with walking around. And a few of them take notice quickly. And they're busy about their day, but they are definitely struck at the sight of you. And you guys can, anything you'd imagine being in a sort of frontier village, that would kind of be the things you'd find here. They have to be very self-sustaining. So basically a little bit of everything, but not big at anything. So, it's going to be blacksmiths, leathersmiths, all those things.
I think Ivor would just kind of take it in because he ran away from home, a very abusive little home when he was 5, and made his way to the woods just outside of Mulberry. So he's hoping that nobody really recognizes him as he's walking through because he because of how his father treated him, he hates this place, and he's just kind of eyeballing to see and hope that people are more awestruck by his wolf than him.
And they may be. How do the other two feel about coming home?
Oh, I miss it. My mom, I grew up here. Might have grown up on the streets a little bit at one point or another, but this is my home and always will be. And I can't wait to see my mom again. And maybe even a few friends.
Yeah, Silas feels mixed feelings about it. Mostly looking forward to seeing if there's any of his old guard friends or military friends around. Maybe you could catch up with them, see if he's kind of more interested in seeing what he's missed, basically. If anything big's happened since heading out.
Okay, so one person you would definitely remember from back in the day. He was the equivalent of basically a squad leader of the guards. He's a little bit older than you. That would be Anton Morvier. He was a pretty charismatic guy when you left. Most people liked him. And he was pretty nice to everybody. And if you're looking for guards, that might be one of the names that popped into your head. Otherwise, any guardsmen that you'd like to run into, you would either probably find them at the post that you're familiar with or the bar. And as for you, Christopher, just so you know, you would obviously be able to tell me where your mother's home is, and you could go do that whenever you would like. She could live in the walls. Everybody lives within the walls at night, but if she farms, if that's her background, then during the day, she would likely be out on one of the farms.
No, she was a seamstress, so she'd definitely be inside.
Gotcha. Right, and you would know right where she had done her business. So also that would be right here too. So I'll let you guys play that.
I look at the other two, and I say, we should probably go report to the town guard and let them know we're back.
Sure, let's do that, and then we can take care of any business we need. Sounds like a good idea.
I may not remember much about this town, but I'm pretty sure the guard's at the bar.
Most likely.
And if they're not, we should still go to the bar.
Sounds
So
good.
The bar it is then.
Okay, so the bar is on the other side of town. It's close to the small East Gate, because the East Gate, leads out to sort of almost a separate village, but it's where the miners camp. It's all men there, but they have their own walled-in facility, and basically going back and forth is restricted to during the day, so they are a little bit separate from each other. But the bar is situated on that end of town, as you might imagine, because miners also like to drink. And you make your way across town, You see the church come up. It is the most dominant building in town. You see it to your right pretty much the whole time. And you pass small wooden stalls here on your left. You pass the well that sits in the inside of the walls inside town. And again, the open blacksmith, you hear some banging, clanging coming from that way, but most people try to steer a little bit clear of that. The smells from the leather shop that's next door are sort of foul. And as you walk around that, you do get to the end of town. You see the bar, which, to be honest, is more of a tent with libations inside. Sort of heavy-duty canvas covering, a few posts holding it up, small raised floor with missing beams, and not more than 2 or 3 tables, mostly just a long bar top with a bunch of barrels behind it, and a grizzly old man who anyone who basically does anything inside of town or trades anything outside of town knows Jedediah Hirsch, and he works at the bar. He can't be any less than 80 years old. So as you guys walk up, you are greeted with a few grumbling guardsmen up at the bar, but otherwise empty facility and free game.
Yeah, I'll walk up and I'll snap real quick and point to the side of the tent outside, and Aurelius will just run over and sit there. Figure it's probably better to leave him outside. And I'll walk in and just look at my 2 companions and be like, all right, first round's on me. This is the only way to bear this dung heap of a town.
Say, oh, come on, it's not that bad.
You probably had a better childhood than I did.
Well, much appreciated there.
And
So, yeah, I'll walk up.
you guys would know, by the way, the amount of money that you probably have on you from being inside the walls, and just being able to make any amount of money in there is totally different from in here. People in here have never seen more than copper. So just be aware of that when you're doing your business. So you walk up to the bar there, Ivor, and Jedediah kind of winces at you and goes, you're back, huh? What can I get for you?
I was hoping you wouldn't recognize me, Jed.
I recognize everybody.
Suppose you've been here long enough. I need 3 of your finest for me and my boys here.
Reaches under the bar, grabs 3 mugs by the handle, turns around to an open barrel, scoops, puts them all down on the table, on the bar top.
Yeah, and I'll drop some. I'll drop a couple goals like discreetly to him with a couple extra maybe for a tip. Just kind of look at him and be like, "Appreciate it, Jed."
And he's gonna look at the gold and just be like, "Lords above!" And he just grabs them all and real quick throws them in his pocket and says, "You're not getting any change from me."
Wouldn't expect any different, Jed.
And he kind of mutters to himself as he turns around to wipe something, throwing gold around, lunatic.
I want to
Okay,
just
so-
ask him. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I don't have
I
any-
was just gonna say, so how's business been, Jed? How's things been?
And he looks up and just, "Well, I'll be. I'm glad to see you back." Then he kind of looks, "Not that I would, never mind. I am glad to see you back. You were a good guard and you spent a lot of money here."
Not so much anymore, I'm afraid.
You give up the drink? What are 2 of those for him?
I'll have one for old time's sake, being back home.
Yeah, sure. Drink up, drink up. he's trying to get you back in the game.
Knock him off the wagon.
Yep.
And he says, things have been interesting. You know, out here in the wilds, it's tough. And 2 of those 4 Donhammers that were supposed to hang out here till you guys got back ended up getting killed out in the wilds. And then the 2 others, well, you notice they're not here. they split. So we've been hanging on our own, and things got a little interesting about a week or so ago. But if you want more on that, I would recommend talking to the father.
All right, thanks, Jed. Dwarves, I take it?
Yeah, I guess you saw the silo then. Little buggers. Yep. They were the least of our problems, though. And he leans forward and he says, "We had werewolves." And sort of leans back, gives you like the, mm-hmm.
How recently?
Awesome.
Almost the same night as the dwarves, actually. It was weird. It was about 10 days. 10 days ago.
They came on the same night?
Yeah, well, I wasn't there. A few of the townsfolk went out looking for what was going on. In the night, there was some strange sounds, and, well, they got a weird story, but basically it involves those little nasty buggers, followed up with some big smelly thing that was apparently getting chased by a bunch of howlers.
What did the big smelly thing look like?
I can't get nothing out of nobody that was out there. They don't want to talk about it at all. All they say was it was big, but the werewolves took it down.
Who went out there looking?
It was Deliverance, Cadence, the two sisters, along with the father, and well, you remember Anton.
Yeah, good old Anton.
Yeah, good old Anton ain't so good old in the head anymore, if you know what I mean. He, I don't know if I should be, who am I kidding? I'm going to tell you anyway. He lost his wife and daughter. That was back while the Dawnhammers were still here. Kid got taken in the night, and it was bad business, but he hasn't been the same at all.
Well, I'll see if I can talk some sense back into him.
Well, you'll always be able to find him next to the father. People consider him his man now. He just follows him wherever he goes, like a puppy.
Would I be able to roll like a nature to see if that's abnormal behavior for a werewolf, just having spent so much time in the wilds?
It is what abnormal behavior?
Like the werewolves coming like with the dwarves and like attacking this whatever smelly thing.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Natural 20.
So the main thing you would know is the sentence werewolves were hunting fill in the blank. Whatever goes in that blank is not out of the ordinary. They'd hunt anything. As for the timing of this all happening at the same time, odd. But with none of the Dawnhammers around at that time, perhaps they weren't afraid to come around. It's not lightning striking twice odd. As for the big stinky thing in general, though, you have no idea what Jedediah might be talking about.
Yeah, I downed my mug of crap and say we should go see the father now.
Okay. So, the rest of you down with that?
Yeah. As we walk out, hearing but not saying anything to Jed's early comment about the gold, I'll flick him another one. Stay classy, Jed. Don't change.
And actually, roll me a athletics check.
11.
Okay, so your coin comes up a little bit short, and he has to reach over the bar, and he kind of bobbles it a little bit, and one of the guards looks over, and he snatches it right, like as the guard goes to stand up, and he puts it back in his pocket. He just looks the man down like this, and goes, You gotta stop throwing gold around. Unless it's my way.
That gold wasn't meant for you. I suggest you give it back to Jedediah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Jedediah did catch it.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant let the guard.
Yeah, no. And then he just grilled the guard down like this is my chestnut.
I was about ready to fight that guard, man.
And the game goes differently than I thought.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll lean over to him and say, "You really need to stop throwing gold around."
I want to show these people that there's a good reason about leaving Mulberry.
So you guys are going to exit here, and the wind's kicking up a little bit. It's a little breezy, but it's still a warm day. And if you are looking for the father, you would all know the church is where you'd go for that. And so you start making your way up the very slight hill that is Mulberry Hill that this town is built around. It's a very slight hill. Most people would not even call it that. And so as you just walk up this light gradient, you reach the church, which kind of takes advantage of the landscape and sort of has another set of long steps that are kind of a low gradient as it goes up to the peak. And you reach the door to this stone church. And if you open it, it is the middle of the day. Most people are working, so you would see an empty, very quiet, kind of eerie space lined with pews, lights all on, but basically nobody right there. What do you guys do?
What was the father's name? Or is it just the father?
No, you would actually know that his name is Jeremiah, not Jedediah. Jeremiah. Jeremiah Lawrence.
All right. I'll just kind of. Are we inside now, or are we still outside?
I imagine you've swung open the doors and essentially just see this big open room.
Yeah. I'll call out and just say like, Father Lawrence, you here? Anyone?
Yeah, and the voice kind of carries, as it does in a big open room like that. And you would hear, it's not a very large space, so at basically the other corner, you would hear a door latch kind of open, and a fairly large man, about 6'1", broad shoulders, leans out, and Silas, you would know this to be Anton, and he looks across the room and goes, Who is this that comes to the door?
Anton, it's Silas. How you been, buddy? You all right? It's been a while.
Oh, Silas! And it's sort of like an excited child. And he pushes the door a little farther and kind of walks across the room quickly, his sword dangling at his hip. He comes, Oh, it is so good to see you. The father will be pleased that you've come. How long has it been? A month? 2 months?
Yeah, it's been a few. How you holding up? I heard what happened.
He goes, Oh, well, yes, I have learned many things since you've been gone. The god of sacrifice demands his tribute, but I have given mine. There is very little left for me now, so I am free. Come, tell me of yourself.
Can I do an insight for that?
Sure.
Just to see, kind of get a read. 17.
Whatever he is talking about, he certainly believes it.
Okay. Well, me and my companions here, Christopher and Ivor, we're just finished our training, heading back out here to help out around town. We heard the news that there was some strange happenings about 10 days ago, a week ago.
Oh, yes. The father and I, We handled that, I say. Well, Cadence and Deliverance help too. But now it's time for Samhain. It's time to get ready. It's very important. This is a very important Samhain. Let's not talk of troublesome things.
Is the father around? Can we talk with him?
Oh yes, of course. And he starts walking back towards the door he had come out of, and he's waving you on. Come.
All right.
And 6-foot man, kind of behaving a bit oddly.
Yeah. I'll kind of eye my friends here and be like, just kind of raise my eyebrows at them and look back over my shoulder and kind of keep walking forward.
Yeah, I'll just shrug my shoulders and I'll keep an eye out around us.
Certainly lost a few marbles, hasn't he?
Marbles?
That's an understatement.
Nothing, Anton. Just we're coming.
And as you do approach the door that he came out of, you see it's a fairly large-sized study, and Father Jeremiah is sitting at a chair next to a small fireplace with a pile of written things, loose papers, books, binds, all these type of things kind of sitting on his lap. And he looks over and says, Anton, who is it? Anton says, it's Silas and Christopher and who are you?
I would expect you to know I've been gone a little longer than 2 months. The name's Ivor.
And Ivor. And you hear Jeremiah say, oh, I see, they've returned. Anton, go fetch some firewood for the evening. We'll need at least 3 cords. And you hear him go, oh, yes, of course. And he turns around, and basically 2 things happening at the same time. He's running towards the other door. You're coming to get in view of the door. You see the father standing up from his chair, placing the paperwork down, and he's dusting his hands off and says, oh, my fellows, please, come in.
Yeah, I'll step in. Nod my head to him. Good to see you, well, Father.
Yes, I am well. It is good that you are here, I must say. I took on a different role these past few days, and it's one I do not relish. I suppose it'll be the role that you'll be filling, I hope, from here on out.
We'll certainly do our best. Do you allow animals in here, Father?
No, why do you ask?
As I have my hand under my shirt, pet my mouse.
I've another one of our companions outside, and I'd hate to leave him out there in the cold.
Ivor, are you speaking of that beast that you are known to travel with? Do not look so surprised. I know a great many things.
And kind of taking offense that he calls him a beast because Ivor considers him like a really good friend. He just lets out and waits for the wolf to come running to the door.
Okay. So it does, and you hear his paws kind of skittering on stone as it kind of rounds a corner and then comes up and kind of nuzzles into the door a little bit and comes back and just comes up next to you and is walking in and immediately takes a sort of stiff sort of approach as coming into view of your company.
Yeah, so I'll just tell him, like, Arlius, come sit. And he'll just kind of sit down next to the chair that I've slumped myself into, just leaning my musket against the closest table or wall.
And Jeremiah looks at the dog and just says, I suppose since you have not had a chance to reach your auxiliary quarters, this will be acceptable for the time, but please, on regular mass, I hope you will leave the creature at your facilities.
I mean, he's quite a pious animal, but I can agree to that.
And I I suppose I will see you all at weekly mass.
Maybe.
I mean, sure, the gods have done so much for me. You'd say that kind of sarcastically.
I do not concern myself with gods, plural. Only Macaban, the god of sacrifice, need be concerned in this house. But if you need convincing, all the better. That is my job, after all. I spread the word. What can I do for you today?
Well, we stopped off at Jed's place, of course. And
Of
he told
course.
us of a incident that happened about 10 days back. Werewolves, some dwarves, some big stinky thing.
Yes, Jedediah should learn to keep his old mouth shut. However, he speaks truth. These are the things, this is the role that I took on that I regret and will gladly pass to you. These things that go bump in the night we're not leaving well enough alone. If you do want the details, I suppose I can fill you in. You see, we thought we were losing miners to werewolves. Turns out the miners were the werewolves, or at least at some point became them. They were hunting villages here and there, barely noticed it, and when we heard the howls at night, we assumed it was them. When Anton and I finally decided to do something about it, it turned into a bit of a monster jamboree. This large creature was the one doing the howling, and the werewolves were chasing it for food, as werewolves are always concerning themselves with. There was a small run-in with dwarves. It's all very odd, to be quite honest. But werewolves put up a good fight. We were smart, though. Attacked them while they attacked what we have taken to calling Skunk Man. Took them by surprise and took them down. We were lucky. Very lucky.
Skunk Man. Tell me a little bit more about Skunk Man.
Not much to tell, really. He was at least 10 feet tall, I'd say. Shaped like a man, but clearly not one. And the odor that it gave off was foul. 100 yards around it, you could smell it. Just like refuse in the heat. Abandoned shellfish, all at once.
I'll look over at Christopher and just... That could make it easy to track.
Yeah. I imagine it probably would. Especially for your companion there.
Yeah, 10 feet tall. Smells like rotten seafood. Anton could probably find it.
Speaking of Anton, Father, what's gotten into him? I know what happened, but why has he been acting so strange? He's not his usual self.
Silas, it is kind of you to be concerned. Shortly after you left, there was an elf attack. His wife and his daughter were out picking flowers during the bright of day, and the elf took her down. Nobody saw it, but it had to be one. They went out looking day after day. Took a week before they found the bodies. He's never the same since. Drank himself into a stupor at first, but I snapped him out of it, brought him into my service. He's not regained his wits, but at least he has a measure of peace.
Fair enough. Can I just insight him, see if that's the whole story or if he's hiding anything?
Sure.
Somewhat good at it. 22.
He's not. So okay. So you caught as he was speaking to you. You felt as though there was a slight twinge when he was naming the monster as Elf. You don't know exactly what that means, but he may not be being completely honest with the idea that he thinks that it was an elf.
Quote unquote elf attack.
Exactly.
All right. Father, what made you and anybody else involved in the investigation believe it was an elf attack? That seems odd.
Well, you know how it is around here. Up until that odd night 10 days ago, the real concerns are usually dwarven pest and elven monsters. Werewolves are a fairly rare occurrence, I'd say. I've never seen them in my whole day. Although I've heard of them, of course. Other villages have had their incidents, but not exactly common. What else could it be?
I'm unsure. It's unfortunate that it was so long ago. It would have been good to examine the scene and things like that to get a better idea, but we'll have to see if anything comes of it from this investigation.
Oh, is there an investigation?
Well, involved in this incident that you have been informing us of.
Oh, of course. Yes, now that you're here, I do imagine all things monster related should fall into your purview.
Yeah, man, I think we'll be able to handle it. Is there anything else that you could tell us that would be relevant to this?
Nothing relevant to this. However, I have a request I would like to make of you. As you know, this Sunday will be the Samhain festival. Everybody is on edge. Would like to make it a pleasant affair, ending in a mass that evening. I would just like you to do your best to ensure that we have no surprise visits from any new marauders and monsters.
I suppose that's why we're here.
And we agree.
What day is it today right now?
It is Friday. This is actually very soon. Like you've arrived
Okay.
just before
So
Samhain.
in a couple days. Yeah, it's going to be tight, but I think we'll be able to do that. And how long ago did you say his wife and child were?
Oh yes,
killed?
I was typing that, but then I stopped. Okay,
Yeah,
so just to give you the time frame, basically, Anton's a little confused on time, but you guys know that he left about 13 months ago, and this would have happened about a year ago with his wife and daughter. But the 10 days thing is still relevant. So it's basically these events are roughly about a year or so apart,
Okay.
give or take.
Cool. Well, gents, do you have anything else we want to ask this father here?
No, I'm good. I'm gonna go settle in. I'm gonna go see my mom for a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind hitting up the quarters there.
All right.
Yeah, as I walk away, I reach into my pocket and pull out a little piece of bread and hand it to my pet.
Nice. And okay, you know what? Roll a stealth for me.
19.
And you do so without Jeremiah even noticing. Okay. Now, just give me kind of the order of operations here. You want to see your mother. The fort, you would all know that the fort is between the main village and the miners' village, so you'd be exiting to the east. Your mother's right in town. So I basically would really just need to know if you're splitting the party or not, or if everybody's accompanying you to see your mother.
Well, I just make it perfectly clear. I'm just going to stop and say hi and tell her I'm home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm cool to come along, and then we can proceed from there.
Then we probably didn't get much rest on the dirigible, so
Suppose we can make a pit stop.
gotta at least go check in with the mother,
No, I wouldn't know.
So you would know in the middle of the day like this, she's likely to be at her shop. So yeah, you would make your way, kind of down one of the east wall with the places lined up on it. So you have some houses mixed in with some various shops and craftsmen, and you would kind of walk a little bit, and then you would see coming up your mother's seamstress. So before we go in, just describe your mother to us so we know what to expect.
she has long black hair, fairly attractive for an older woman. She actually has blue eyes. My eyes obviously came from my father's side. She's actually pretty tall. She's actually taller than I am. She's reaching 6 foot almost. Probably fairly pale skin because she probably spends a lot of time inside working. She's very polite, respectful. Says what's on her mind, even if you don't want to hear it. And that's pretty much it.
And as Christopher's kind of thinking of his mother, he's about to reach the door, the whole party is, and suddenly the door kind of opens up, and you see this woman with long black hair carrying a bucket heading towards the well, and she takes 2 steps out, and she drops the bucket and turns and just says, "Christopher! I knew I could just sense you. It's so good to see you." And she runs towards you.
Yeah, I pick up the vase towards her and give her one big ass hug and pick her up. Say, "It's good to see you, Mother. Glad you're still around. I was worried I'd lose you too."
"Oh, you can't take care of me that easily. I'll be here for a long time. I'm going to give old Jedediah a run for his money."
Good.
I have a word laugh at that too.
And she says, "Oh, these must... And she recognizes Silas. She goes, "Silas, I know you, of course. I'm glad to see you return."
Yep, good to see you too. Happy you're all right.
"And Ivor, isn't it?" "Oh, sorry."
I said it's Ivor. I said, "This is Ivor, Mom."
"Oh, yes, you don't need to tell me. I've been around. I remember the boy that ran off."
I'm so glad you were concerned enough to come looking for me.
"Oh, dear. I had both of my hands full, I can assure you." And then she looks at Christopher.
Wasn't that bad, Mom.
"Speak for yourself."
So I just wanted to stop by, see if you're all right, how you're doing, and how business is going. And let you know I'm back in town for good.
"Yes, will you be staying with me? Will you all be staying with me?"
We'll be staying in the barracks probably.
Yes, I suppose that's where the Donhammer stayed. It makes sense. That's where you'd stay. Still, I imagine I'm a better cook. Well, than any of you.
Well, of course you
Won't
are.
argue with that.
It wouldn't hurt to stay for dinner, though.
And she just says, "Well, anytime you like, you know where you used to live."
All right. At that, I give her a hug and kiss on the cheek. Say, "It was good to see you, Mom.
And
We'll be back for dinner."
she'll return the hug, and as you walk away, she's going to pull something from her kind of apron there. And the last second you might notice that it's like a dried piece of meat, and she kind of throws it to Arliss as he kind of was about to walk by her and immediately smelt it and turned around, and as she threw it, he grabbed it.
Much obliged, man. He's hasn't eaten anything in a while.
Yes, I can tell you haven't been feeding him. Go along with you. Catch something good. This dog needs food.
I look over at Christopher and just out of earshot of her. Your mother's nice.
Of course she is.
Well, I think we should get to the fort.
Yeah. Best head out.
And so you do. It's not a very long walk. It's about an hour. The mine would be about a 2-hour walk. So you're roughly situated between the mine and the town. It's all kind of these gated in areas, kind of in a line along the river. It's pretty normal. And you'd reach it, and it's clearly been abandoned for some time. But overall, it's what you'd expect. It's a barracks. It's got a kitchen. It's got rooms. It's got beds. It does kind of the main features of it are on either side of the building itself are 4 strong pillars, like huge trunks of trees, essentially trimmed down to be beams, and they make these what like would be 2 watchtowers, but they're kind of attached. So it's sort of like the barracks, and then like a watchtower above it that somebody might walk back and forth along whenever they would be keeping watch. And that's kind of the main stuff around here. I will let you guys role play a bit if you'd like in here in the barracks, anything you'd like. However, I will have you each just roll me a d20. No modifiers. Well, Max saved you. So, yeah. So anything you guys would like to do, however these guys would get situated in their new home.
I imagine we just have a room full of probably bunks, like most barracks would.
Yeah, it would be. So I would actually say, because there's so few of you, there's probably 4 rooms, because there were 4 Dawnhammers there, and there's only 3 of you. So actually, it wouldn't be really a big room of bunks. I would say it's a wall with 4 doors, and then the main mess.
So I'll just go grab a room, unpack my stuff, organize it, get it all set up and ready.
I'm gonna go to the room directly across from the entrance to the mess hall in the kitchen. Pop that open and just kind of tell Arliss to make himself at home. Plop my stuff down.
Yeah, I'd probably take off a bag and set it on the bed. Just kind of slough it off because I was kind of hauling it around and just kind of like stretch it out a little bit, kind of get comfy, change my socks, and then be good to go after that. Yeah. Maybe have a smoke.
Actually, if you don't mind, if we could take that break now, because I got to go make a bottle real quick. You can do that real quick. So probably 10 or 15 minutes tops.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks, man.
All right. I'll be right back.
The first one back. I guess so. I gotta say, Jason, I think a mouse is a pretty phenomenal pet to have.
Yeah, it comes with the Urcher background.
All I can picture is the dude from Wanted that makes the explosive mice, just keeping it in that little like, what is that little like tube he keeps on his belt?
Yeah. Yeah, the picture I put on my Hangouts there, that's how he looks, my guy.
I feel slightly embarrassed that my wolf has a higher AC than I do.
Yeah, I have a rather low AC too.
Mine's the same as yours, 15. But
Yep.
I like for companions, I get to add my proficiency into their AC.
AC, yep.
Yeah. So you
Makes
got
it
bumped up to
nice.
16.
I just wish the companions would level with you.
Me too.
They really need to change that.
And add some attacks in would be nice too.
Yeah, that might OP it. They got to do it in a balance. I personally don't think Rangers should have spells though, so I think that's where it should all go.
Yeah, I could do it, or at least spells that not necessarily being spells, or like doing what we did, where we make them more like practical skills than spells.
I just think they should work like a fighter's moves, or like any of the other moves. Like when you get to a level, you can do this thing
Right.
that fighters do, or that Rangers do.
Right.
I'm not
Like
a big fan of magical Rangers.
Like I did, like when I messaged you, like the cordon of arrows, like instead of using it as a spell where you just stick 3 things in the ground, they shoot out. Like I have it set up where it's like a fuse attached to a stick that someone can trip and shoot it off, and it makes it like it's more of a skill than it is a spell.
Yeah, I use that for alarm. Like he runs tripwire, whatever, around with like bells and everything like this instead of a magical thing. Yeah, I think I've seen the skirmisher. It's really good.
Yeah, I like that option, that spell-less type of ranger. It's pretty sweet. I don't know if there is like a 5th edition equivalent yet. I'm not sure if there is one in the new book, but
I don't think canon. I think I've seen one, but it's either UA or like external.
Somebody made it up. Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna say the Unearthed Arcana's got to have something along those lines.
I'm not sure. I mean, it could be from UA that I'm thinking, but I mean, I know the one big Ranger thing they did was just right off the bat was the Ranger change. I forget exactly what they changed, but they made like a big change in like the first big UA release. There's been a few subclasses I think I've seen added, but no, not
The
many big
UA
changes.
Ranger is a lot better than a Book Ranger is
Yeah, definitely.
by like 100%. But yeah, I agree. Their spells should be more like the fighters'
Yeah.
abilities.
I mean, I think it depends on your school of fantasy, because there are definitely fantasy books where Rangers are essentially magical.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
dress.
they're basically the hybrid version of a paladin.
Yeah.
You know, paladins are hybrid between cleric and fighter. The rangers a hybrid between the fighters and a druid.
Druid, yeah.
And like in my fantasy sense, and the way I kind of like did Ivor too, is whenever I think Ranger, I think Aragorn is the only way I think Ranger.
See, and that's for me too, big time. And actually, even you ever read the young adult novels, Ranger's Apprentice?
No.
They're a little low on the reading level, but like my brother's 8 years younger than me, so I used to read some of the stuff that he would read to get him to read some of the stuff that I read. And Ranger's Apprentice was one of the books that he was reading at the time, and I actually like. By the time it was finished, he was old enough to really not need me to read these books anymore. But I was like, yo, let me get the last one of that. Like, I want to finish that. All right, guys. So sorry that was a sudden interruption, but back on track. He's fed.
Yeehaw.
All right. So yeah, you guys all settled in your own way. Yeah, you have this fort to yourself. If you guys, if you need to work out like a day-to-day thing, like I don't want to put ideas in your head, but there is a watchtower. Maybe somebody takes a watch or something like that. But otherwise, you just tell me how you round out your day here, if that is in fact what you do.
Arlius, Ivor, would be in the kitchen as soon as you got settled in. You go in the kitchen, you start whipping something up there, and bring it back to Arlius. Keep going to switch their names something on. And just kind of sat down and just scratching behind the ear and goes, "Sorry, I guess I don't feed you enough." And he would go back to the other two, wherever they are. I think, guys, that we should check out that mining town tonight when it's quiet and see what's left over from that werewolf attack.
Yeah, we don't have much time left. I think that's a good idea there, Ivor. Good thinking. Especially with you two, I think we'll find our way pretty easily.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay, so yeah, the rest of the day passes. Well, actually, I'm sorry. Are you going right out?
I said I'd wait till darkness a little bit when I know it's going to be really quiet and we're not going to get interrupted by anything.
Got it. Yeah. So the sun, which was already like 3/4 of the way down, past the zenith, it just kind of takes like another probably hour and a half to get to that kind of twilight dusk where all you hear are just like a few birds chirping in the woods. And yeah, you guys stand outside the fort's gates and you just hear the forest around you and the river. Sorry, I should say. So actually, you already said you're going to the mine village. So yeah, you would know that that's further east. So you would immediately come out and you'd start heading east, and there would be a trail because of course there's the miners come into town. So there's a trail that goes the whole length of the way, and you wouldn't have to do any survival to follow that. You would just start following it as the sun went down, and just tell me, who do I need to be aware of as not having night vision?
Yeah, I'll automatically cast dark vision.
One more question.
Is there anyone that doesn't have night vision? Okay.
Me, I won't because I'm not a fancy ranger and whatnot.
I didn't think you had it, but I want to assume.
I just checked. I do not.
Okay, so you two can see fine, and you're, as the sun like really goes down, starts to get a little bit more difficult for you. And in fact, you guys might have to go just like a little bit slower so he doesn't trip and break his neck in the dark. But you would eventually, after not too long, it's only, like I said, about another hour up the trail, come across what is a clearly, I mean, it's a mess. There's like lumps in the ground where clearly people were buried after this incident that they had been talking about, and otherwise the mine seems completely unused for at least the last week.
I'm gonna kind of like just go look to Arlius and just have him sniff around a little bit and see if he can pick up any werewolf tracks, scents, anything from that's. I mean, I know it's been 10 days, so it's probably hard, but see if you can find something. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. So that's a scent-based perception check.
Okay.
For Arlius with his stats.
Yes, I do get advantage. Perception. 19.
Nice. So he starts to sniff around, and he's, tails wagging. He's kind of zigzagging, going in various directions as he catches different scents. And he just kind of is definitely paying attention to the large mounds that are clearly shallow graves. But otherwise, he just comes back to you wagging his tail. The corpses are really the only thing interesting to him here.
I'll kind of squat down and just like scratch his ear again. And, so I was afraid of trails cold.
Crap. Well, what else do we got? Are there some buildings and stuff you said?
Not really. This was so it's inside this small wall, but it's mostly just like those canvas tents, like the roof of the bar, quote unquote. And they're mostly in shambles, like shredded, like huge claws had gone through them. And the entrance to the mine is, like a large door, almost like a big framed hole into a hill, where the men had gone down deep to mine for had a list the ingredients for gunpowder.
All right. I'll do you guys mind if I light a torch so I can see?
Actually, as he was saying that, I walk up to him, pat him on the back, and you see this darkness go into my hands and transfer as I give him dark vision too. Lasts for 8 hours.
Oh snap!
Oh, nice.
I'll be like, whoa, thanks. Why did you do that earlier?
Didn't want to really spin the spell slot.
Let me just, I'll owe you one later. Don't worry about it.
And I'll look at my other ranger companion and I say, you get him next time, huh?
I can't do that.
And as you guys are kind of joking, Arlius's ears perk up, and he puts his nose back to the ground and starts sniffing towards one of those torn tents. And he lets out a howl. And the moment he does, you're gonna all hear banging and clanging, and motion in like a quick motion over there at the tent.
As soon as he perks his ears and goes over there, I'm just gonna pull the rifle up and cock it and just point it at the tent. As soon as he's got his ears cocked, or his ears up.
So you never actually see what's like. It's like something's inside and it pulls the fabric, and the tent kind of like moves a bit, and you hear like a clanging inside, but you never actually catch sight of what's inside exactly. But you are going to hear a very, very distinct sound that you had been, you would know from living in the wilds for sure, and it's way louder than a squirrel's like chittering. It's much louder, and it is definitely the sound of a dwarf, one of those disgusting pests.
I'm So, I do speak a little Dwarven from having encountered them a bunch. Mostly swear words. But could
That's
I?
most of their lexicon. So you're good with that. You basically speak the entire thing.
I'm gonna look over and be like the other guys. There's a door in that tent. Get on either side of the door. I'll see if I can draw it out.
Let's take him alive.
Point it out. So they can.
Yeah, I'll draw one of my short swords and keep a hand on one of my pistols.
Just get on either side.
Try to sneak over the door.
I'll go on the opposite side, hand on my long sword.
Okay.
So I'm gonna stand probably 40 feet away from the door, and just start uttering some Dwarven words in my best imitation to see if I can coax them out to think there's another one of them here.
Okay, who is slipping up by the door?
Me.
I think
And
both of us
Silas.
we're going on either side, sort of thing.
Yeah, so they can kind of like jump him as he comes out.
Okay, whoever is going to try to sneak to the far side, roll me a stealth check. The one coming up to like the first side of the door is fine.
We got a 23.
I'll go on the not difficult side.
So yeah, you so Christopher, as the ranger, obviously much lighter armor, and you just kind of blend right into the shadows and kind of almost disappear for a second, and then show up like on the other side, kind of leaning up towards the side, and you start to hear Ivor kind of make that same chittering sound. With like, it sounds almost like what we would think of as Morse code. It's like, and then all of a sudden you hear coming back, and it basically says, "Who? What? You?"
Pretty broken door, but I'm gonna come back with we need help. You need to come out. And I'm gonna have my gun ready, so as soon as he comes out, I'm gonna try and pop a shot into his knee so that he can't run away.
Oh, brutal! Wow.
So you start to hear like a little scraping on the ground, like shh, shh. And then carefully breaking what is like a heavy shadow, you see the right leg stick out as it passes the portal of the door. So roll your attack.
Oh my god. It's a natural 1, but it's an 8 with my modifier.
Okay. All right. You got a percentile dice?
Are you a revised ranger?
My what?
Are you a revised ranger? From the UA?
No, I'm just a standard.
Oh, that sucks because you get advantage rolls on your attacks if you did.
I mean, I do have an extra attack. I could just throw my spear at his knee instead. But I feel like that would be cruel. We're not trying to kill him. You said percentile?
Yeah, please. So low is good, high is bad in my DM world.
Oh, good, because that's a 4 anyway.
Okay. So you pull the trigger and you just hear as your gun jams.
And I'll just kind of look down and be like, shit. Jump him.
And he goes, "Argh!" And everybody roll initiative.
Hey, let's pounce this boy.
Oh, God. Man, it's
Let me know when you're ready. Oh, snap. How'd you do that? Oh, it's just in the chat.
Okay, so Christopher, you get the jump. And I'm going to have actually my dwarf here roll perception check. Okay. That's way lower than your stealth. So you'll have advantage on this if you don't already for surprise. So what are you going to do?
I'm gonna use my short sword to move the flap aside, and I'm gonna pistol whip him across the face.
Nice.
Okay, my first attack hits a 27. Second one hits a 25.
Yeah, definitely. For sure. So, bam, bam. These 2 pistol whips come in.
D4 for damage.
Yes. Yeah.
Improvised weapon.
Yeah. Plus
Strength.
I'll let you add dex to this though because you have the
Oh.
stealth surprise. So I'll say you get to the back of the head.
He takes a total of 13 points of damage.
Nice. So his eyes immediately cross and he kind of wobbles. And he wobbles forward, but he sort of catches himself. Mac, you're up.
Cool. Seeing that, I'm gonna kind of try to kick at the back of his legs and kind of knock him off his footing, and then just kind of try to like pin him to the ground, sort of thing.
Oh, and you actually, you didn't even need surprise before because you'll both have advantage because you're essentially flanking him right now.
Okay. So I guess that would just be like athletics, kind of grappling more than like trying to hurt him.
Yeah, I would say basically the equivalent of a grapple check, but using athletics.
Okay. All right. So that's a 26.
Okay, and I'm gonna roll a disadvantage. It doesn't matter; they're actually both super low. So, yeah, 4 plus his strength is going to be 6. Yeah, so he fails. So yeah, you basically kind of do your move on him. You take him out the right way, and he drops to the ground prone. Was there any like attack in this, or was it all like a status change? Like, were you trying to get him to the
I was
ground?
just trying to knock him. I'm kind of like, I don't really want to like start just hacking away at him. And then I'll kind of pull up my sword and just hold it to his throat and just like try to intimidate him to try to get him to stop fighting, like just to kind of submit, basically.
Oh, for sure. Okay, so give me an intimidation check.
Oh, a 9.
A 9. So you had an 8. Okay, so he's up. So he's going to spit in your face, which is obviously gross, but also weird because you have a knife to his neck, but you were not very intimidating. However, he seems to have a plan. He suddenly starts to grow underneath you.
Oh, shit.
And you basically, I'm not gonna say you're knocked prone, but you're essentially pushed off of him
Yeah,
by
just
the
shoved
force
away.
of him growing underneath you. You're actually give me an acrobatics check to see if you keep your foot as you kind of get pushed away.
For sure. 16.
Excellent. Okay, so yeah, so you basically, I almost kind of imagine him growing underneath you, and you kind of like slide down
like,
him
like
onto the ground. And he is, he only gets 1 action on top of this, and he'll need to use that to stand up. So a much larger dwarf is now standing in front of the 3 of you, and Ivar is up.
I'll kind of look as he grows and goes, forgot about that. And I'll take the spear off my back because I didn't take time to reload, and I'm just gonna look over at Arlius and be like, Arlius, ankle, and I'm gonna whip the spear at his upper regions.
Okay, nice. So give me the 2 attacks, but tell me which they are before you do them. 1 for the spear, 1 for the dog, for the wolf.
God, the spear is a natural 1.
Wow.
Double
Wow.
dice.
done with that dice.
Arlius is a natural 20.
Okay, so that's a trade. So roll me a percentile and roll me the damage for Arlius.
Percentile is a 58. Then
Okay.
Arlius. 14 damage from Arlius.
Okay, so basically what happens is as the dwarf is pushing itself up, you go to push the spear at its face, right as Arlius runs underneath. So the dwarf has one hand down on the ground, and with its other now quite large hand, it kind of grabs the spear up like this, and it is able to use the momentum to take it away from you. And it's holding your spear in its one hand. As Arlius attacks its the foot that it was getting up on, which is going to do a nice little chunk of damage there. That was 14, you said?
Yeah. Oh, and he does have to make a DC 11 or be knocked prone because of the wolf's special things.
Okay. Well, actually, it doesn't matter because with that damage, basically Arlius is going to rip at the back of its leg. And the blood is going to start pouring out so badly that as the dwarf tries to put its hand down, it just starts to waver, and then it just boom, its head hits the ground, and it's out.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Whew. Well, it's been a while, but still got it. Good dog.
I suppose half this little duo has to do something.
So I'll kind of just like pull the spear out and like flip it around and hand it back to him. Like try not to lose that anymore.
I'll put it back in my bag and just start reloading my musket.
Nice. Yeah, maybe stick to the musket. Well, actually, that musket didn't hold up. So.
Musket failed too.
Hey, you probably got it wet again.
And
Right.
Arlius is just covered in blood. Like his face is like he has a blood smile, like Joker. It's like, And yeah. So do you guys want to check the corpse?
Well, they're checking the corpse. I'm gonna check for tracks. See if I can
Sure.
see where this thing came from.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
sure.
pour a little water on Arlius and clean off his snout so he's not covered in dried blood. And then I'll check the body.
Okay. Yeah. So give me a survival check, Christopher. And
18.
18. Nice. Okay, so you're gonna out that same tent where you found him, which is probably the first place you'd look behind. You can see a small like cut that he had made and had walked in through the back, and you can follow his trails a short way through the woods until it starts to get to be some really dense undergrowth. But it's basically the woods known. It's that one side of the village that borders the woods. Everybody knows there's too many creatures in there to count. And this is kind of just one of those dwarves that had taken an opportunity, you would think, when the miners were gone, to kind of come in and rummage around, see what he could find. Doesn't look like a big war party, though, you would see for sure.
All right, I'll go back and let my companions know.
And give me a. I'm gonna do. Well, what are you doing to this corpse? Whoever's checking it, like you running the pockets, are you checking the body?
I'm gonna check the body first. That dwarves one of my favorite enemies.
Okay.
So is it normal for them to be alone when they do this? When they kind of...
It's not usually they'd come in a little bit of a bunch, but you know that when they get comfortable with something, they'll just wander in and treat it like like an open buffet. And that's probably what happened. No one's been here in a while, so this guy was probably just used to coming in and out. If you're gonna check the body, give me a medical check.
That's a 19.
So you're actually going to be a little surprised for a second as you notice a faint pulse.
I'll kind of like, I'll reach down and check the body. And I'll feel that little bump. And my eyes will just go wide. And be like, he's not dead.
All right, well, keep an eye on him. I'm gonna go see what he was snooping around for inside this tent over here.
Yeah, I'll tie him up real quick with my 50 feet of rope.
May want to bandage him up. He's bleeding out.
Yeah. So.
We want him for questions.
Suppose you're right. Okay, I'll take out some.
And I say in dwarf to him. Like along the lines like you need to stop letting your muskets get wet. And I think you need a little bit more practice in your dwarvish.
And right as you guys are chatting, before you tie him up, he's going to suddenly shrink in size due to a time constraint of his ability.
Okay, I'll look back at him and be like, oh, never mind.
And can Silius give me an investigation check? Well, investigation or perception, I would say, for two different kind of things. If you're just glancing around or trying
they're both the same. So okay. This is a 12 for kind of just open up the tent, kind of just snooping around inside, see what he was looking for.
Yeah, you just open it up and you can basically see that there's like, particularly the one he must have just been working on, there was just like a can of food that he was like must have been taking a small axe to or something like that. It was kind of like trying to split it open.
All right, cool. I'll head back outside and just say he was just hungry, I guess. So
they've clearly been coming here a lot. They don't travel alone unless they're comfortable somewhere.
Yep. Well, I guess we'll if you want, I can patch him up a little bit so he's not bleeding out.
Oh, he died.
Oh, he died? Oh,
yeah.
Oh, what?
They, I don't know how many dwarves you've encountered.
No, I'm sorry. He's not dead.
Oh, he just shrunk.
He just had to shrink because the time was up on his move. So he's still the same condition he was before. He's just back down to his normal dwarf size and in bad shape.
Oh, I thought he shrunk because he died. Okay.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, it's only, like, I actually let it go too long. It's only supposed to be for 1 minute. So he probably should have shrank it sometime earlier, but...
I'll kind of kneel down beside him and like put my hand on its like gross greasy skin and just kind of close my eyes and focus like my like energy into it, and I'll use my lay on hands to give him like 5 health.
Cool. Yeah, and his eyes kind of like flutter, but he's still unconscious, but you can feel that his breathing is much more regular and his pulse is like easy. It's easy for you to feel just from the touch that you were giving him for the heal.
Forgetting to tie him up now because things have passed. I'm just gonna bring the musket now reloaded right down to his face, just like as close to the eyeballs, inches away between the eyes, and just start talking to him in Dwarven.
Yeah, and you see his nose start working. It's like he can smell the gunpowder, and and his eyes kind of snap open, and he's like sees that he's on the ground and completely surrounded, and still feels weak, and he's just says, like, basically, this is a resigned, what you want.
I was going to ask you the same thing, and seeing as I have the gun, you should probably answer.
Food. Always food.
Look over at Christopher and just be like, we're probably going to get a better conversation out of your rat at this point.
No.
Say what?
Nothing. Look at my new soccer shirt.
Keep my gun trained on him there, and just ask him again.
Okay. Give me an intimidation check.
I'm gonna take out a piece of ration and wave it in front of his face. So you talk, you get a piece of this.
Ooh, a little good cop, bad cop. All right, so why don't you give me a persuasion? Actually, both of you, you're helping each other, so just both of you do it with advantage, and that's how we'll do this. I thought I was.
I was gonna stand there, like with my arms crossed, just kind of
Yeah.
watching.
Good cop, bad cop, stern cop.
As he says that about, you answer the
That was a
question.
15.
I'm gonna keep
Oh,
the gun
15
pointed
and
up.
11.
If you don't answer the question and point the gun a little closer, you get this.
Okay, and he's basically, it's not difficult to intimidate him at this point. He's sitting on the ground and he just goes, ah. And it's all basically translating to, let me go. I'll give you something interesting.
Find interesting.
Weird. He's like searching for the human words, and basically he's coming around to everything coming here from across the water. Everything running here. Howly things. Noisy things. Smelly things.
They're coming here now?
No. Now, before, they keep coming. Always running.
Do you know where they are now?
Some, and he kind of looks around at the lumps in the ground. Some dead. Some lurking. Gotta stay low.
As he says lurking, I'm going to look over at Arilis and just kind of go, and he's going to start sniffing around to see if there's anything lurking.
Okay, so at this particular point, I think I was kind of considering Arlia still like sniffing around from his previous perception check.
Oh, that works.
So nothing is right in this vicinity, or presumably Arlius would have known about it. But you are definitely on alert at this point.
Okay. I'm gonna take the still keeping the gun as trained as I can. I'm gonna take the rope off of my hip and throw it to Silas. Tie him up. I'm gonna have a look around real quick. And I think I'll use my primeval awareness to see if I can sense any creatures. So elves and dwarves and beasts are my favorite enemies. So if they're within 6 miles, I can sense them. So I'll just kind of pace around the camp and train my eyes on the woods and see if I can.
Okay, 6 miles.
Sense a creature up to 1 mile. 6 if it's a favorite enemy.
Okay, so elves, dwarves, and beast. You're definitely going to sense dwarves and beast. Not within a short distance, but there's bats, there's all types of night creatures out. You sense them all. There is an occasional dwarf, but it's although it comes through as sort of almost an irritation to you, it's distant. But there's a few fleas. There's you don't sense any elves in the immediate vicinity. However, you do sense. So it's not so much what you don't sense. At 6 miles, I'm sorry, it's not so much what you sense in one case, it's more what you don't sense. Towards the river and beyond, the number of beasts that you can feel from that level just drops off significantly. it's as though all the life is evil and not evil alike is on this side of the river now.
Okay. I'll let these two role play with the dwarf before I come back and tell them what I found.
Mm,
And Christopher, you speak dwarf, right?
yes, I do.
Okay, I was just checking. I thought you did.
Yeah, I look at him. Saying dwarvish. I should feed you to my mouse. He'd probably like a little fresh meat.
And when you first say it, he like goes like this. But like when you say mouse, he's like, and you hear him say in dwarvish, "I know mouse. Mouse don't eat dwarf." Like he's thinking about it. He's like, that's not a wolf. That's not what I thought he was going to say. He's very confused. And maybe your mouse even pops out and he's just like, he's serious. But he starts looking at you two saying, let me go. I gave you information.
Arlius and I will come strolling back in at this point out of the darkness there on the edge, and well, there's nothing lurking by. There's a few dwarves. They're miles off, but and I'll look over to the other ranger because he would understand it more. Odd thing is, there's actually nothing beyond the river. I can't even hear the crickets.
Sounds like that's somewhere we want to be.
Yeah, how far is the river away from us?
You're about half mile from the river, really, because you're like even with the village, and the village isn't far off from the river.
I look at the other two. I say, give me a minute. And I'm going to do my primal awareness for my favorite enemies. And my favorite enemies are corrupted and celestials. Do I sense any within a 5-mile radius?
5-mile radius. So you do sense something similar to a celestial, but it doesn't quite feel as strong. Like if I could put it this way, if like a celestial is like a cup of water, it's like putting your hand over a boiling kettle. You feel the steam and it feels a little wet, but it's not the same.
I'll explain that to them. So
Well,
yeah, that's probably where we definitely want to be.
That's strange.
Definitely
Oh, excuse me.
encountered anything like that out here.
Ivor, maybe you can convince our little friend here to lead us over there. At least put him to good use
Suppose I could.
before we need to be rid of him.
I meant to ask you, Silas.
Yeah.
The father said Anton's family was killed by an elf.
Yeah, apparently, but I doubt it. That was the case.
Interesting. I was doing my little lap there. There's no signs of any elves within 5 or 6 miles of here.
Yeah, that was a while ago, so they could have come and gone. But yeah, I agree with you there. It's definitely suspicious.
Well, I'll keep an eye out for tracks or anything as we're going. But why don't you hold this, and I'll hand him the rope and to the dwarf, and point my gun back at him.
All right, I'll just kind of like tuck. I can't really talk to him, so.
Oh, you don't speak dwarven. Okay. I'll point the gun back at him and be like, "Take us to the river."
Okay, So he gets up and he's going to basically he's going to start like he's going to like walk backwards. He's going to be kind of looking at you guys and say to you, why would you want to go where everyone is fleeing?
Our reasons are our own.
I was gonna say dramatically, it's what we do.
Pull
But
back what I said. Wait for him to say that.
There you go.
And he's going to look at you not knowing what these words mean. He's just
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
and he's
Yeah.
like, and then he hears you and he's like, I will go within sight. No further.
All right.
And he turns around and he starts making his way towards the river. And as you follow, you reach sort of the end of the light forest, and the riverbanks are about 100 feet away from you. And the dwarf stops and crouches down and says, "You see river, I go."
If I know anything of the stubbornness of dwarves, my friends, it's easier if we just cut him loose now. Or kill him. It's your call.
Maybe convince him to ensure that he never saw us. Then we should let him go.
We could.
I put my short sword through his throat.
Oh, okay. That's easier.
That works too.
All right, give me an attack with advantage. I mean, I assume you're going to land this, but let's just make sure.
How's a crit sound?
Has a what?
A crit.
Oh, yeah, well, that should do it. Yeah, don't even roll damage because he only had like 3 health left after the heal. So he's just... and he drops to the ground. And you guys are
Then
here.
I spit on his body and walk away.
I'll just, as soon as he pulls the sword out, sticks in his throat, I'm just gonna be like, oh. Yep, that works. I'm okay with that.
Look at him and go, hope you guys are. They are vermin after all.
I mean, he could have died a little slower, but he's dead nonetheless.
Jesus.
And I look at my pocket and say, no offense, Squeak.
And as you turn back towards the river now, you see what you'd expect, a river at night. The ripples reflecting the moonlight. But on the other side, there's a creeping mist billowing in the almost half-barren trees. Half of them still have red-orange leaves. The other half are free of leaves. And you can see the mist coming through them. But it is otherwise silent, especially on the other side of the river.
I'll kind of
Go
send
ahead.
Arliss ahead because a wolf shouldn't stand out too much. Just, I mean, this is where I found him in the first place. To kind of sniff around and then come back and tell us if there's anything out of the ordinary. I mean, not actually tell us, but the best of his ability.
Yeah, so he will, basically, you'll see him kind of trot off and start sniffing around. It'll take, like 2 or 3 minutes for that to kind of happen. And you'll be seeing him kind of down there by the river. Silas, did you have something?
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, is there anywhere we can cross? Like, is there any like shallows or anything like that? But we'll see what the dog comes up with.
So as he comes trotting back, he's just kind of wagging his tail. He he is doing it in such a way that you can tell you've been around him for so long. This is less of a happy wag and more of a he's nervous, not quite deck of the dirigible nervous, but uneasy.
Something's wrong. He's unless we're on the ship, he's not normally like this.
Now this is we crossed the river already.
No, you're on this side of the river. If you
Okay.
you would know that in this area the river isn't very deep. That's one of the reasons why the town is here. It's pretty easy to ford, especially the further west you go, closer to the village. It gets a bit shallower there. It's a little deep here. You know, it'd be like a bit of a wade to get across.
How far could his wolf go in 3 minutes?
Well, he's got a 40-foot movement, so
So if you ordered it to dash the whole time, essentially 80 feet per 6 seconds, so about 800 feet in a minute.
I suggest to the others, I say, should probably pick up the pace a little bit for about 1.5 minutes, and then we'll sneak the rest of the way. Since obviously your companion saw something or ran into something that disturbed him.
Sure.
So which way are you guys walking?
The way, what's his dog's name?
Aureus?
Arius came from?
Aureus.
Okay. So yeah. So well, he kind of walked back and forth on the banks. When he came back to you, he was coming from the west. So you'd be walking that way, kind of along like between the river and the woods. And just as you walk, I don't know, a few minutes, I guess, 5-10 minutes. Oh no, I'm sorry. You said 1.5 minutes. You were going to try to book it. Basically, you guys are running. Okay, so you guys are like jogging along, and you cover decent ground. And while you were, you could see the mist kind of just starting to get towards the river, kind of licking the banks on the other side. Yeah. So you don't see anything else, though. Nothing else jumps out.
Is there any spots that we can cross that's shallow?
You could, like around this area of the river, it's kind of goes from shallow, a little bit deeper, a little bit shallower. So you could try to cross, and I can roll to see what spot you're crossing at, or you could try to check it in some way.
I look at my companion ranger. I say, you should use your spear to check how deep it is. See if we can cross here.
I was thinking the same thing. I'll start taking the tip and just kind of like poking around in the water to see if I can get a good read of the depth.
Nice. Give me a survival check. Let's see what the odds are of finding a decent spot here.
God, it's a 9.
It's a 9. So you're basically looking at waist-high water everywhere around here that you just checked, like let's say within like a 15-20 foot radius.
I'll kind of look back and be like, well, it's probably about waist high here. We could try.
Little water never kill anybody, right?
Nope, not at all.
Except my gun.
Yeah, I'll kind of like pull out my pepper box from my like, what is it, like a hip or like waist, whatever. Kind of pull it out and just hold it above my head and kind of start walking my way through.
Yeah, same with the musket here.
Nice. Everyone just give me, you could choose athletics or acrobatics checks as you cross the river. Keep your footing.
24.
So Oh wait, okay, I have 2. And what was Chris's?
Natural 20.
Oh yeah, okay.
Do I have
So
to roll for Arlius if he's coming?
no, so you actually have a hard time. These two walk straight through. You almost slip, and as you do, you catch your footing. You're fine. You just match the DC, but Arlius just comes kind of paddling past you, like no problem. He just swims across the river. It's moving pretty slowly, and he gets to the other side and starts shaking off even before you do. But you do pull yourself up.
I'll just look at him as he get off. And just, shut up. As he looks at me.
And you are standing right in front of like this billowing cloud of mist, which it seems unusually thick and like it's like there's a defined edge to it that's a bit more exact than nature typically produces.
So it doesn't feel natural.
No, not natural in the sense of like water and heat, but maybe not necessarily. You don't sense the corruption from it, and you could, if someone could, you actually most of this party could sense corruption, and you just don't get that.
It's not normal for this area though, like at all.
Mist isn't unusual. However, usually it comes off the river, not so much from beyond it, per se.
I'll kind of look at my other 2 companions and be like, this seem a little funny to you?
Yes, it does. So let's head in.
Yeah, it's odd, but it's now or never.
So as you guys press into the mist, it's like pushing through something that gives you a bit of resistance and then just kind of releases you. And night vision or no, you can't see very far in this fog. You can maybe see 10 feet in front of you in some places, 5 in others. And it is deathly silent.
As I'm kind of walking forward, I just want to use my version of the focus kind of thing and see if I can detect any. What's my divine sense? Where'd that go? Divine. So yeah, see if there's any like desecrated fiend, like any weird stuff. And 60 feet of me, kind of nearby. Just as I'm kind of walking forward, just continually like kind of just hone my senses towards that.
Desecrated and fiends. You don't sense anything.
Okay, so it's just weird stuff.
Tell me the other 2.
It's like celestials, undead, desecrated fiends, undead.
So you actually do sense a celestial energy all around you.
All right. I'll kind of let them know, be like something off about this mist. So,
and that's what
celestial.
I was going to actually ask Christopher that. Those moves that you cast before, is it that you can sense them going forward, or was it like I'm reaching out and sensing for this now?
I have to concentrate for 1 minute.
Okay.
And then I can sense my favorite enemies.
Okay.
Within a 5-mile radius. And
okay.
their numbers, general direction, and distance.
Okay. Yeah, so when you sensed it before, you would have continued to sense it basically for a minute?
Oh, no, it's just for that time.
Oh, it's just for that time, and you had to concentrate for a minute. Gotcha. Okay, yeah. Sorry. All right. So yeah. So you would just hear what Silas is saying to you about the Celestials, and that might, you had sensed that too, from a distance.
I tell him to give me another minute, and I'll sit down and focus on my favorite enemies and see if I can pick up what he was sensing. If I can pick up numbers or a certain direction or how far away. Or if it's just a general sense that it's around us.
Yeah, so you basically feel, again, like before, like a celestial, but not quite a celestial. However, instead of it being off in the distance, it's now just everywhere. You can't discern where it is and where it isn't. In this sitting in this fog, can everybody roll me a wisdom check? Wisdom save.
And you guys get to add 3 to that, I think, just so you don't forget.
Nice.
I got a
Good thing too.
math is hard.
22.
23.
Okay, so Ivor, you're going to hear a voice coming into your head, and it's going to say to you, the one you love, you must sacrifice. Always sacrifice. Sacrifice to me. And you're going to start to look around you, and you're going to see Arlius. And you're going to realize that Arlius must be sacrificed.
While I'm hearing this, I'll just think, because obviously they can't hear it, right? It's just me.
Yeah, it's just you.
I'm just gonna yell out, be like, "I'll be damned if he dies," and I'm just gonna turn the corner and not really know where this coming from. Just pop a shot off, like turn to the right and just shoot, because I think this thing is coming at me, whatever it is.
Okay, so you shoot off, and you hear your shot echo in the silence of the mist. And yeah, actually, I'm going to let your companions respond to that.
I'm just like, whoa! It's a loud shot ring out, and it's like, well, Ivor, what's wrong? Are you okay? What was that? And then kind of look and see if anything responded to it.
Yeah, I'll whip my head around where he shot, and I'll be like, really? Well, there's nothing here, man. Well, you just gave our position away if they didn't already know we were here. Well, what's up?
You didn't hear it?
Hear what?
No. Didn't hear nothing.
It's silent, except for that.
It spoke to me.
Who? What did they sound like? Who was it? We heard nothing.
It told me that I had to sacrifice to it. I had to sacrifice Arlius to it.
Shit.
I'll be damned if he's gonna die.
Sacrificed? How? Why? Who? What?
That's all I heard. I thought you guys could hear it too. It must have just
No.
been in my head.
I swear. If well, I mean, just keep moving. Wolves have got to be around here somewhere. They might be coming in on us now with that. Well, at least it makes the search easier for us.
Ivor's gonna start shakingly, like you can hear the ramrod rattling as he reloads the gun. He's a little taken.
I'll kind of like grab his hand and it'll be fine. It's fine. Just relax and just kind of help him out a little bit.
This is playing tricks. We need to stay together, and I think I know the best way to do it. And I'm gonna pull up my rope and I'm gonna tie it to each of us so that if we get too far from each other, it'll tug.
Good idea.
Or I'll tie it off to my belt. Sure.
Yeah, I'll
And
do
I'll
the
just say
same.
whatever you heard, don't listen to it. That this whatever's in this mist or whatever's messing with your mind it can't be real. What's real is us here.
This mist isn't normal.
Let's get this shit out of here then.
What'd you say again? I told you to sacrifice the ones you love.
Yes, Arlius. It was telling me to sacrifice Arlius. I had to, is what it said. It didn't give me a choice. At least I assume it was Arlius, because, no offense, I don't exactly feel that way about you guys.
I certainly hope not.
All right. Everybody take a point of inspiration for that. That was awesome.
Cool.
Probably shortly be using that.
Roy,
Let's get a pencil in sec.
I feel my character's, I don't know, kind of well off in investigation. Could I put 2 and 2 together and maybe come up with how he said that he was told to sacrifice the one he cares about the most, and it was his dog? About how the other guy said that he gave up what he needed to sacrifice, about his and how his wife and his daughter died.
Yeah, I think so. Well, what's your investigation score?
I have a +5.
Okay, you're way up there. Yeah. You can. Your character would put that together.
And I stop for a minute and think. I don't think our pal back at the church lost his wife and daughter to elves. There's something really bad going on here. I think he was. I think he may have did it himself.
Yeah, it's from what we've heard, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
That's some pretty dark stuff. But that would definitely drive a man as crazy as Anton is.
Now you're all still in the mist, right?
Yep.
You're going to hear a muffled voice deeper into the mist. Not too far. It's muffled by the sound of the mist itself. The more experienced frontiersmen like Ivor would be able to gauge some element of distance here. So about maybe 60 feet ahead of you, you hear, "We are almost ready to sacrifice to you all that you demand. My children will be yours. Please wait. Wait those days. Allow me to prepare."
All right. I'll let's check it out.
You guys heard that one, right?
Yeah.
That one's not in my head.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
definitely out there.
Let's
Now, can you
sneak
tell
our
us
way
how
up there.
far it was?
It's, I mean, the way the distance and its tough to gauge noises is probably about 60 feet.
Let's get a little closer.
Okay, so you guys are moving through a misted, light forest here in the fall. How do you approach?
I am going to cast Pass Without Trace.
Awesome. Okay, so you are stone cold silent.
It actually affects all of us.
Oh, great.
I tell them, stay within 30 feet of me, and you will be silent.
We don't have a choice. We're tied together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just.
So it will give us all 10 to our stealth checks for
Nice.
up to an hour.
Sweet.
Nice.
Okay. So you still move slowly though, right? Half speed.
Yeah, whatever is for stealth, I would think. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you guys move slowly. You creep. It probably it doesn't take long, but it does take about a minute. And as you push through this mist, you kind of reach a small clearing, and you can see the shape of a man. But like I said, you can only really see about 10 feet in front of you. And this clearing means that there's no trees between you and this person for about 15 feet. So right now, all you can gauge is, like I said, the shape of a man. And he is mumbling. He was clearly the one shouting before, but he is mumbling now.
And whispering, like, I don't know if we should help him in that. I don't know if he's. I don't know what to do.
I say that. Let's just sneak up to him. See if we can get closer.
So roll me stealth checks. With those plus 10, of course.
Whew.
$34. Good God.
Holy cow. Okay. Yeah, so you guys approach extremely silently. You're 10 feet away. Now you're 5 feet away. And you can see Father Jeremiah standing in this clearing. And he is, sorry, I was reading that. And he is mumbling to himself. He does not notice you at all. What do you guys do?
Is that Jeremiah?
And at the words, though, his head will snap. You! What are you doing here?
So doing our job. What are you doing here?
I am doing
You're going
mine.
to sacrifice people.
That is my job. We worship Maccaban, god of sacrifice. He is here. Can you feel him?
And when he says, "Can you feel him?" I'll kind of like shudder for a minute and be like, "I think, guys, I think that's who spoke to me."
And at this point, everybody roll first a wisdom save, and then a initiative. Okay, so 23, 18, and 19 for the wisdom saves. You guys can feel that celestial energy pressing on your minds, but you're able to shake it off. So let's get those initiatives going. Just to make this easier to work out. Not that we're necessarily in combat right now, but just make it easier. Okay, so 22, 23, 11. Okay. Okay, so tell us what Christopher would do first at this point, having heard Jeremiah in a frantic state.
No, this isn't the father, right? This is the assistant. I'm horrible
No,
with
no.
names, by the way.
No, this is the father.
Okay.
This is Father
I'm
Jeremiah.
completely horrible with names.
No problem. The other guy is Anton.
Anton, yes, that's
Yep.
right. Okay. Let's see, have you gone mad, Father? You plan on sacrificing your children? So what? The villagers?
It
To
is.
the voice in the mist? Are you freaking nuts? And I'm gonna slowly start pulling out my short sword.
And he sees you pulling out your short sword and laughs. Voice in the mist. Voice in the mist. It is far more than a voice in the mist. It is the world that has gone mad. They have forgotten the god, and I will restore him and restore the world itself. If the villagers pay the price, so be it. And
Yeah, I'm gonna attack them.
Oh, okay. He's going for it.
As soon as he says that.
Okay. So make that attack.
And as I'm attacking, I say, "You will not touch my mother or any of the children or the rest of the villagers in that. They are under my protection." "24, 18, and a 17.
Okay, and what is this with?
2 short sword attacks and a pistol.
Okay. All right. So you have both drawn. You basically slash.
Yeah.
So you nail him. Obviously. Roll me the damages.
Okay, 16 piercing from the short sword strikes. And another 9 from the pistol. And 3 fire damage from the pistol.
Nice. So he is going to you're gonna slash across the chest in the gut, and he kind of bends over, and you're going to suddenly see like the mist around you and him kind of shoot directly into all of his orifices. It's going to start to like spiral into cyclones and just funnel into him. And he's going to start to lift off the ground in front of you with this mist twirling all around him. And his back is going to shoot out these huge wings, and his chest is going to grow huge and burst out of his clothes, and he's going to be this grayish color with these white eyes blazing with the now cleared air around you with the mist kind of circling around the outside. I'm sorry, hold on one second. My other kid woke up, my little kid.
No worries.
No problem.
Just absorb this gong show now.
Great. This is going to be fun.
I knew it was going to be him.
Yep.
Right before you're going to attack, I was going to like punch him in the face and be like, tell us what's going on. But then you're like, I'm going to cut him. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's talking about sacrificing his children. The only thing they refer as their children is the villagers.
Yeah.
Their flock, basically.
Well, let's go. Y'all making me look bad. I've not been casting any spells.
Yeah.
I cast Dark Vision. That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, to summarize, he basically looks like a statue with wings and a blank expression. And from his hand, where he had been holding a golden chain, forms a massive, mighty mace.
Alrighty. Am I up? I think.
Yes, sorry, you are.
Okay.
My other one said.
Yeah, it's all good.
You know
my
who wears the
God.
pants there?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my thing. Where is it? I'm going to issue my champion challenge, and that thing needs to make a wisdom save.
Okay, so that's a 12 plus 5 is a 17.
Okay, it saved. Then I will just draw my sword and I have like this cool like buckler that's just like a disc on my wrist, but I'll just like kind of clench my fist and it'll like it'll just activate. So I have like this little shield now, and I'll just kind of move up to him, and
Nice.
that's all I got.
That is
Captain
very cool.
America.
Yeah, no, I imagine it like spiraling out like a cliff into place. That's awesome. And so right, and then you had an 11. Okay. So it's going to its wings are just going to like they fan out and it's like flying in the air, but its wings are not moving. It's almost like just its huge feathers are kind of rippling and keeping it in place. And you guys are kind of standing in a line there, right in that rope. So he's going to go after. Okay, so he lunges forward with ridiculous speed towards you, Christopher. And he's going to swing this massive mace at you. There we go. Oh, wow. Okay. So it's 2 attacks, but the first was a 1. So it rolls a 9 on the other one. Plus 8 is going to be 17 to hit.
Yeah, it hits me.
Okay, so the first hit swings at you, and you just manage to evade it, but it comes back with a surprising speed and catches you, doing. That's going to be 10 damage.
Is he within 5 feet of me?
I found one.
Yes, he's tied to you.
Right. I'm gonna use my reaction thing to absorb the damage.
Oh, nice. How does that work?
It's just Divine Allegiance, Oath of the Crown, level 7. When a creature within 5 of you takes damage, I can substitute my HP for his. So I just like absorb it basically.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so you just take it. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
So you take that
that's it.
10.
I just eat it. Nom 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 nom.
Nice. Yeah, so that is its multi-attack, and that's going to bring up Ivor.
So Ivor is going to, knowing he's probably going to need his mobility, he goes down to his boot and pulls out this super small little hunting knife that you just mostly use to like cut the necks of the animals and gut them, and he just slashes the rope and cuts it through. And he goes in and goes, "This is no more sacrifices. This is it." And he levels his musket, hones in on the sight, and he's going to hunter's mark the creature. And he's going to whistle as he levels the musket and fire a shot. And hopefully, in order for this to be cool, I have to make sure this hits first. Inspiration. That's an 18.
18 hits.
Perfect. All right. So then, as he levels the musket, he whistles, and just out of the mist, over his head, jumps Arlius at the creature, and he's gonna go for the well, whatever he can hit. Hopefully a wing, but I'll take what I can get. That's gonna be a 19 from Arlius.
I'm sorry, how much damage?
No, that was Arlius' attack roll.
Oh, 19. 19 hits.
So okay, hold on. I'll do the. What is Hunter's Mark? A D6. Yes.
Yep.
8 damage from the musket.
Nice. So yeah, the musket strikes him in the wing, but it seems like it definitely passes through. You see like a explosion of feathers, but nothing more.
And then Arlius jumping over my head just out of the mist does 5.
Nice. Yeah. So he is close enough to, he'll just attack next to him to the side. So he jumps over you and kind of grabs the bicep of this celestial being, and his teeth dig in a little, but he like slides off, and you see the kind of wound like form and then sort of like heal right behind it. I mean, it does the damage, it leaves scar, you know what I mean, but this thing is it's so strong. And that is going that's your turn. Okay, and that's going to bring back up Christopher.
Yeah, I'm gonna, as a bonus action, I'm gonna hunter mark it.
Thanks.
And then I'm gonna slash him or pierce him twice with my short sword, hitting a 24 and a 22.
Those both hit.
And he will take 26 points of damage.
Very nice. 26. Nice. And yeah, so how do those, where do those hit?
I'm going to jab one of them into his thigh. And then coming back, I'm going to stab it down on his foot.
Nice. Sweet. And he is going to open his mouth like a scream, but no sound comes out of it. And that comes over to Cilius. Now, can you guys tell me who was Igor tied to, and so basically who is he free from, and which two are tied together? Well, actually, I mean, I answered my own question. You two are still tied together. He's free.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll ask him if he still wants to be tied to me. It's like, do you want me to cut it?
Cut it.
All right, so I'll just like, as I kind of like pull my sword out, just like kind of slice it behind me, and then move in and do 2 attacks. I think. Yes. Yeah, I'll do 2 attacks. So one with the long sword and one with the pistola. Sword is a 12.
That's a miss.
Cool. Okay, and then so I'll swing the sword, and then like underneath my arm, kind of take a shot with the pepper box for that's better. 23.
Nice. So yeah, so when you swing with the sword, he kind of pulls his wing in, and it doesn't even hit the wing. It's like he can focus his energy or whatever this divine force is, and your sword kind of just like skitters along it. But underneath his wing, you fire your pepper box, and from this close a distance, it blasts right into his abdomen.
Cool.
And okay. Yeah, do you have anything else?
I'm just trying to see what bonus action spells. And then I'm gonna try to compel him to duel me again. So it's like the same thing as that channel divinity that I did.
Okay, so just another wisdom save?
Yeah, same thing.
Okay. Oh, yeah, he rolled good, and he has, so that's a 16 plus 5, so that's a 21.
So negatory. Keep trying. Yeah, so that was a first. Okay, that. So he took 4 piercing and then 3 fire, so 7.
Okay. Okay. And let me make his attacks. Oh wow. twin attacks. So that's these are both going to be hits, I think. They're 2 17s plus 8s. So yeah, that's 25. 2 25s at you, Celius. So after he wings his wing back out, you didn't see the mace like right behind it, and just boom, boom, and that's gonna do. Got a good one on that one, and that's a good one on that one. So that's 9 plus. So that's gonna be 16 damage, 16 bludgeoning damage.
All right. I'll take it and say that's all you got, you old timer.
Okay, and I'm rolling to recharge his legendary action. Okay, and that's going to bring up Ivor.
Ivor, I'm just going to drop the musket now instead of reloading and pull the spear off my back and just unsheath, or before I unsheath the long time, I'm just going to whip the spear, aiming straight for the heart. Hopefully. My God, I suck. It's an 8.
An 8?
Yeah, with the spear.
Okay. Yeah, so the spear blows past, like, between wing and head, and you come fairly close to him, and he's going to hold his hand out, and as a legendary action, you see the mist start to coalesce in his palm, and sort of like a Rasengan, he kind of holds his palm out, like thrust it towards you, and the mist explodes at you. You see it just rushing in your face. Give me a wisdom save.
Natural 20.
Oh, you are very lucky. So the mist just kind of it seems to be like trying to curl into your ears almost, and you could like feel the pressure coming in, and you're just shaking your head and thinking in your head, no, and you are able to just kind of come out the other side of this, and that brings you up. Oh no, I'm sorry, you just went. That was his reaction to you. I apologize.
Right, so then as the smoke clears, I'm gonna second attack. I'm gonna whip the longsword out, just look at the other two, and be like, "We gotta do something. I'm running out of weapons. I'm just gonna charge them, both hands gripped on this longsword. Try and get a hit with that. Oh my God, it's a 14.
Oh, so he blasts this at you, and you shake your head and rush towards him, but like you're still almost shaking your head as you're doing it, and you're just kind of off kilter a little bit, and he curls his other wing around him and turns the other way, and you basically just kind of miss him going past him. Which did you want to move with that? Like, are you charging him forward?
Yeah, and so I think if I'll blow past him, I'll end up behind him.
Exactly, yes.
And then I'll kind of look to Arlius and just be like, using the bonus action to kind of tell him to dodge, just be like, keep your head in a swivel, buddy.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. And that brings up Christopher.
All right, I'm gonna come in for another 2 stabs at his legs, and my pistol to his other leg. I'm gonna jab, and you guys might not see me fight, but you don't see me reload my gun. I'm that quick. And I hit with my sword 19, a 13. The 13 miss.
The 19 hits, the 13 misses.
Okay, and my pistol, I hit a 27.
That definitely hits.
Okay. So he is going to take... And would he be considered a favorite enemy?
Celestials are a favorite enemy?
Yeah.
Enemy, then yes.
Okay, cool. So he is going to take... Gonna take 47 points damage.
Holy Nikes.
I like Kelly
Wow.
better than dog make stuff and
Exactly. That's my thoughts too.
And I will stand my ground.
She wants Sheriff Kelly and not Doc McStuffins. Well, there you have it. If you don't know, now you know. Sorry, I'm just gonna lean back for a second. Oh, come on. I can't find this. Moira, can you come put it on yourself? Sorry. Give me 1 second. Sweet,
funny.
you're killing me.
Oh my god, how did you do so much?
That was incredible.
I'm a Colossal Slayer. So I do an
Okay.
extra D8 per attack.
D8 Hunter Mark.
Yep, and Hunter Mark. And I get a +4 per attack for being my favorite enemy
Favored, yeah.
at 8th level.
That's D's.
Oh, yeah. And since I'm a pistol expert, I ignore reloading rules, so.
Oh, that's sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I might do some damage if I actually hit something.
I know, right? Well, at least like your saves and stuff are good, and your checks and whatnot. Other than the one creepiness.
Other than the one where I started having mild schizophrenia, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about using my inspiration reroll that one miss, but I was like, nah. I'll save it when I really need it, like a saving throw.
Yeah.
like I haven't even been able to use sharpshooter because I have not rolled nearly high enough to use it.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that.
It's like I'm rolling like 12s and
Damn.
13s. If I
That'd
take
be
a
like a-
-5, then like forget it. I hit it.
Yeah, I think I might have to try that next time with all 3 attacks. That'd be a +30 to damage if I can hit.
And she tells me, Dada, you're not on Netflix. You're on Hulu, dummy. Sorry about that again, but she should be good for at least the rest of this game. She's having growing pains all of a sudden. She started waking up at night, so this is a new thing now.
Oh, those
This week.
things fucking suck, man. I remember
Yeah.
having growing pains. I had really bad ones when I was young.
It came on this week, and she started doing this thing where every night now, like 12 noon, she's like, my legs. I have a heating pad and stuff, but she gets a little mopey. But okay, so yes, you just landed one of your 2 strikes, right? The 19, and that did yeah, that's right, 47 damage. So
2 of my
yeah.
3 strikes, yeah.
Oh, right, 2 of your 3 strikes.
Oh wait, I forgot.
Oh, come on.
3 more points of fire damage from the pistol.
Oh, okay. Well, that does it. Now it's just kidding. Yeah, so this thing, like, you're gonna fire and slash, and by the time your weapons are done firing and going off, one of this thing's wings are hanging and crippled, and there's a wound that won't heal on its leg. And if that wraps up your turn, then Sirius, you will be facing a significantly weakened foe.
Cool. All right.
I'll look at it and finish it.
Yeah, you got it, boss. Let's make my sword glow hot orange and like sizzle, and like the air above it is like quivering from the heat. And then I'll just like go and then just lay into him with a couple long sword attacks. Let's see what I got. Yeah, okay. So 1, 24. Second one will be 20, not natural. So that's 2, and then oh my god, there's so many dice. So that was 2, and one of these. Yeah. All right, so that'll be Whew. 18, 23, and so 27 total. And then he
Wow,
has to
that's
do
sorry, another wisdom check. Save.
no, it's something else. Where is it? Searing. To save. Okay, let me look up the spell, but I'll get back to you. But yeah,
Yeah.
Are you
that's
using
what I got.
Are you using Syrian Smite?
Yeah,
That's a Dex save, I think.
I couldn't remember. It doesn't say on this thing. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, the target must make a con saving throw.
Con,
Okay.
there it is.
Con. Okay, so that is a 8 plus 4, so that's a 12.
That is a fail. So at the start, attack. At the start of each of its turn until the spell ends, it makes a con save. On a failed, it takes 1d6. On a successful, it ends. If the target or creature uses an okay. Okay, so when is its turn? Is its turn next?
Yes.
Okay, so then I'll just takes an extra 2.
An extra 2 damage.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. So yeah, and again another flurry of blows, and his other wing is not hanging, but it's crippled and hanging, basically, crippled and weak looking. It is going to basically make one last dying attempt, and it holds up its like bronze and gold looking war mace. And as it does, it starts to kind of reflect the light of the moon that's coming down. It starts to glow with a radiant energy. And it's going to basically, it's going to do a flurry of strikes. So these 2 strikes are both going to have radiant damage attached to it. All right, so let's see who it's attacking. It is attacking Silius. So that's going to be I don't know that. Both of these are going to land. So that's a 16 and a 19.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I was trying to get a job thing, so I was listening to the phone.
Oh, sorry, no problem. It's a 16 and a 19 attack on you.
19 hits, 16 does not.
Okay, so it's gonna hit with this radiant damage. So the regular damage does 7. That's gonna do an extra. So that's gonna do a total of 31 damage.
Okay.
And that is going to bring us to Ivor.
So I'm going to. I'm behind it now. Is it like? Isn't? You said it had 1 wound that didn't heal, right?
Yeah, its wings didn't heal, and there was a slash on its leg that never actually healed like the other one did.
Right, so I got 2 hands of sword. I'm just gripping tight, and I'm gonna look at it from behind it, and just be like, "My woods, my town, my people, and I require a sacrifice." I'm gonna slash this open wound with my first hit, and then I'm gonna try and come back up and just stab it in the back.
Nice.
The second one. It's a 14.
That's a miss.
Switching dice. Ah, an 18.
That is a hit.
Come on, good damage. $15.
And that is enough.
You killed it?
Yeah, it had 12 HP left. These two clobbered it for like 30 something and 47, like 2 hits in a row.
And then I finally land a hit, and I just clean it up.
Yeah, so you can you could describe that. Just tell us how that looks. You took down essentially what I'd call a demigod.
Yeah, so I whiff pretty hard trying to open the slash because I imagine its legs are kind of moving as it's wobbling a little bit from these hits. And as I wheel back with the sword and just go shove it right into where its spine meets its waist, pretty much. And you can see the sword. You two would see the sword just erupt through its chest, just below its breastbone. And I'd pull back out, and the blood would just be spewing. This thing just falls and slumps to the ground. Its wings all tattered and torn, dead.
And those extra pieces start to kind of immediately fall away, and the skin starts to flake away, and the wind blows it like ash. And as this is happening, you're basically witnessing like a 2-minute transition from the celestial that you had been looking at back to Father Jeremiah, bloodied and wounded. And you're standing there as this happens.
How are we going to explain this one?
I don't know, but just give me a second here, and I'm just gonna lay my hands on myself. Just kind of like he basically like holds himself and kind of just like clenches his core, kind of just and then grits his teeth and just heals those internal bleeding damage from the mace. Kind of just spits up. All right, we're good. Sorry about that.
So we tell them the truth.
Do you think they're going to believe us? I mean, you realize how the conversation that your mother is one of these people. Imagine walking up to your mother and explaining, so this religious holy man that you've been following for all these years is actually a demigod demanding sacrifice from the people, and we killed him.
Yeah.
Christopher, my friend, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one.
That's gonna have to be it, I guess. Hey,
Well, I mean,
I wonder what
we make up a story, then we have to follow through with it and remember that we did it, and much easier just telling the truth.
I'm gonna kind of check out, see if there's any like on him other than like his vestments. Was there any like thing that was a bit odd or different? Maybe something that made him do this.
Sure. So as you kind of run your hands around the corpse, you do find this sort of like a baseball size but flat pendant, and it has the name that he had said before, Macbon, on the bottom, and the symbol in it looks like an open maw, like the bottom teeth and the top teeth of a beast eating, or with its mouth open to receive food.
Now, was this god worshipped too before we left? Or this is like a new development, correct?
So it was always like a minor god. But this priest must have become a more fervent believer, you would think, sometime while you were away, because he had preached the Pantheon before you left, but he did pay special attention to Macbon before.
Now, is there anything on his body that would have something he always worn, so people would have know who he is? Like they saw this, they would know. Oh, that's.
Yeah, for sure. He wore like one of those black, like not a tie, but like 2 black things will hang down from like a knot at the center over like a white shirt. So like if you took that black tie, that's like a preacher's tie.
Yeah, I'll use that little knife again and just kind of cut that off and be like, well, this could help validate our story.
And as you cut that off and you sort of turn back towards the river, if you start walking, every step you take, you notice the mist just starts to retreat in the opposite direction of you, almost like it's fleeing you.
Do we still get that feeling around us?
No, it's different now. It feels dead.
Okay.
Like a vestigial remnant of it, like an energy still crackling in the air, so to speak, but not the god itself, not the celestial entity.
I'm gonna use my primeval awareness again and just kind of, as I pick my musket back up and start reloading just in case, because I don't know what else is coming. Just kind of looking around now that and listening now that the fog is clearing to see if this place is normal again, or as normal as it can be.
And yes, it seems normal. I mean, the animals didn't come rushing back like a Disney movie, but like you don't get that sort of like empty feel from it, devoid of life.
I kind of look over at the other two, and especially the Christopher, see if he senses it still. Is like this.
Yeah, I'll do the same thing.
Feels at peace now.
As he looks over at me, he'll notice that I'm concentrating on my surroundings and getting more in tune with nature.
You're muted.
Do I?
Yeah, sorry. And it's sort of like as you reach out and sense, you sort of sense like celestial in the way that you sense ash around a fire. It's just the burning tinder left over, but you don't sense any celestial entities.
And before we do leave the body, I asked, "Hey Phil, do you want us to bury him, or should you just sit out here and rot?"
I'll haul him back.
I'll help him.
It'll be a little bit of a bitch getting across the river, but I think it's best that we take him back.
Hey, tie a rope to him. Dead bodies float.
Fair enough. He was an alright man when I knew him, though, so it does pain me to have to do this, but he obviously was well beyond our reach at this point.
I think he was planning a massacre this Sunday.
That's what it
Glad
seems.
we came out here.
Agreed.
It's definitely tough, Silas, to lose someone important, but think of all the lives you've just saved.
Yep. And I guess werewolves were the least of our problems.
Now, what are we gonna do about his right-hand man, though?
We'll jump that hurdle when we get to it. Let's just get back to the fort, get back to town.
Okay, so where are you guys heading? Fort or town?
I don't know.
I need to sleep. We didn't actually sleep before we set out on this, so I'm gonna sit back to the barracks.
That's true. Okay.
Kind of just we'll cover them on like a burlap, like the covering over them, like the dead kind of thing, like that. And yeah.
So
Once we get there.
You will basically traipse back the way you came. The night drags on, and you suffer a level of exhaustion by the time you reach the fort again. Especially dragging this corpse. And how do you go about your sleeping arrangements? Like, is anybody on watch or anything?
I'll walk into my room, drop my gun, and just pass out. Arliss at the foot of my bed.
I'll take first watch.
I'll go digging in the in one of the rooms and find like a little about like a little bit of whiskey and find that and be like, I got second. And I'll kind of just like sit on the bed, like just still clothed, just kind of kick my boots off and hold on to it and pass out too. Like wake me when you need me.
Will do.
And the evening passes, and you all get your turns to sleep and wake. And the morning comes, and you are left with this burlap sack of Father Jeremiah. What will you do with it today?
Well, let's take him back to the church and guess get him buried in his grounds and
Well, the one thing that concerns me is Anton and Jeremiah seem to be a little close. How do we... I mean, if Anton really is the one who killed his family, how are we going to explain this?
well, like you said, I feel like our honesty is the best option, and it's time for Anton to face the facts.
All right.
Yeah, I think the father had something to do with him killing his own family. I don't think he had much of a choice.
Let's do this. And I'm going to tell Arlius to like stay back at the barracks because I don't want him to get sacrificed. And just, I'm going to cock the gun and just be like, we better be ready for another fight if this is anything like the last one.
Okay, and this is actually going to be our last scene tonight. But as you walk in the east gate, carrying your burlap sack and worrying to yourselves about how you're going to explain this and how you're going to prove that simple Anton had killed his family, you're going to hear a voice, but you don't really recognize it. Silius does a bit. It sounds almost like Anton's old voice, but a bit of Jeremiah there too. And it's coming from the church and carrying all the way through the village, and you hear, "The Father has left me here last night. I am to preach to you. I am your new father, and you are my children. And we shall make the sacrifices that are needed to restore this world to its rightful order." And as you pass the first building, you see Anton holding the book of Macon on his one hand and just like out towards the people, and his other hand is pumping in the air as the people in the town sort of mumble along saying, "Praise Mabon, praise Mabon." And that is where we'll leave off.
Great. Hey, look, our sharpshooting could have came in real handy right there. That's off. That was great.
You know what? I had a great time with that because most of those are PC characters that people played in previous games, and I had a really fun time like acting them out. It was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
That was so perfect. That was a movie ending right there. Like we just solved our big crisis, and all of a sudden another one pops up. Just when we think everything's over.
Yep.
And I'm just gonna kill this broadcast real quick before we we could chat for a few minutes. I just want to kill this. All right, thank you everybody. If you watched, anybody watching it live, or the dozen or so people that might watch it later, thank you, and I hope you had fun. Have a great night.